What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ian, and I will be going over putting BMX cranks on your mountain bike. For some reason I looked online and couldn't find. I looked all over YouTube and couldn't find a good tutorial that had all the parts, where to get them, what to look out for, what not to get. So got online, did some digging. Between Deity Components and Dan's Comp, I was able to get the Salt 25 tooth Comp BMX sprocket. It's just like your standard 25 tooth BMX sprocket. The reason I went with Salt was because I know that they have Dartmoor's new 2020 lineup of jump bikes come with Salt sprockets and components on it. So I figured, all right, well, they've got to know what they're doing. They got to know what they're doing, because Dartmoor's not a bad company. Picked up the Deity Embassy bottom bracket. Basically, it's a bottom bracket that is designed to go on a 68 to 73 millimeter bottom bracket housing on a frame, which is your standard threaded frame, or threaded bottom bracket housing, not like a press in or anything like that. It's not I think it's the Spanish bottom bracket style. It's like the really small one, but this is like your standard one that you see on a lot of mountain bikes, a lot of jump bikes. It's the same exact thread as the one I have on my jump bike now. I have like the race face bottom bracket that came with my Chester cranks. So these will thread right in, except these are designed to take a 19 mil spindle, which is your standard spindle size for a lot of BMX cranks. So these will just replace the ones I got now, and I'll be able to put a BMX crank on it, as opposed to the ones that are on it now that are spindles huge. And the crank set I picked up is the Mission Transit, and these are actually pretty standard, nothing super fancy. It's just an 8 spline spindle, a 9/64 or is it 9/16? One of those. That your pedal threads into. So like my Chester pedals, my giant pedals, the pedals that came stock on my Trek, they'll all fit. The pedals on my BMX bike will fit. Like it's your standard size pedal thread. And basically that's pretty much it. So now I'm gonna tear my old bike apart, throw the new parts on, come see what happens. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? New day. We'll start tearing this bike apart, and then I'll walk you through some of the changes we're going to make and explain to you why. Alright guys, here now we got the back wheel off. And this right here is my 32 tooth Dartmoor chainring, 104 millimeter BCD Chester cranks. Well, the reason I can't set this back any further is because if I do with this specific size chainring, I'll hit my chainstay. So for those of you that were thinking, oh, just adjust your spacers on your bottom bracket, it wouldn't work, because by the time I move it in just that little bit, I'm going to be hitting right here. So that's why I got to go a much smaller chain ring so that I can come in a little bit without hitting my chainstay. Bravo. Alright, got this crank off, this whole crank set off. And one thing I wanted to talk about the most, which is what was giving, like, I guess was kind of giving me the hardest time. I know that sounds crazy, but with all the different variations and everything that you can have nowadays, there's just a whole lot that goes into it. So this is your pretty standard, you know, cross country, enduro, free ride, whatever crank set. Race face Chester, 165 mil from center of your spindle to the center of your pedal hole, right? So 165 mil, doot. 32 to the chainring. This is actually not a narrow wide, so this would be like, you know, you have like your normal narrow wide chainring is like a skinnier one here and then a fat one here. That was also giving me a problem. So if you're looking for a 32 tooth chainring that's not narrow wide, Dartmoor is the way to go. I got that on I think it was 26bike.com or bike24.com, one of those like European websites. But the biggest difference in between your standard mountain bike crank and your BMX cranks would be your spindle size. So this, they're pretty much the same length for the most part, and it's hard to tell because it's like a two-piece crank, right? So this is your lengths, but the diameter is much different, and this is where you have a lot of problems. So this is a 24 millimeter spindle. This is your spindle, 24 millimeters wide, like this way, right? So not wide, but wide this way, 24 mils. This one is your 19 millimeter, I guess a diameter, 19 millimeter diameter spindle. So 19 mils here. And that is the problem you have with putting BMX cranks on a mountain bike, because a lot of bottom brackets for a mountain bike are made to accept a 24 mil spindle. That was the dog. This is a 19 mil spindle. So the question is, how do you get a 19 mil spindle on a mountain bike? So, and the solution that I have is Deity Components Embassy bottom bracket. So this is your standard bottom bracket, threaded anyway. I'm going to refocus this here real quick. There we go. So this is the same thread, same shell size as like a regular bottom bracket, right? Except the bearing takes a 19 millimeter spindle as opposed to your 24 mil spindle. And that is how you get BMX cranks on a mountain bike. I'm going to try to film this installation real quick. I don't know how well this is going to work since my camera doesn't autofocus on its own. Filming that T7 life, you know what I'm saying? So here we go. See that right there? 165. That's the millimeter of your crank arm length. So 165 millimeters, right side. Most mountain bikes are right-hand drive because the rear brake is typically a disc brake and it's on the other side. So obviously you can't have both on the same side. That would be weird. But you know, BMX bikes, you can do either one because you don't have disc brakes on BMX bikes. You have rim brakes or no brakes. My BMX bike has no brakes, so I just pretty much do what I want. But in this case, before you put it together, also, so you got these are the crank arms, right? But one's right, one's left. But there is a mount on both of them to mount the sprocket. So these particular cranks are, you know, interchangeable. You can do left-hand drive, right-hand drive. So if you get these specific cranks, you need to make sure whenever you put your sprocket on that you have the right one, right, and you bolt it on the right side. Otherwise, whenever you go to put your cranks on, it's gonna be retarded. It's not gonna work right. I guess throw that bad boy on there first. Honestly, it's been so long since I've dealt with any mountain bikes or BMX bikes, and I'm not a bike mechanic either, so I could not tell you if this is going to work right or not. Look at that, I'm already screwing this up. How about let's put the freaking spindle on the right side? That's another thing. like this is where your bottom bracket is going to be your frame. So if your crank arm is on there like this, that's not going to work. It's going to hit your frame. So pay attention. The writing is not always on the wall, right? So Bob's your uncle. There's a bolt. Oh, yeah, bolts. So this also comes with 2 each spindle bolts with thread lock on them. So don't don't cover your crap and like Loctite or anything. It's pretty unnecessary. If anything, put some lube on there. So when you do need to take it off, and believe me, if you're like me, or if you ride enough and you tear stuff up, you're going to want to put lube on it so it doesn't seize up or well, I guess in this case, nah. I may be wrong. I may be wrong about that statement entirely. But the general rule of thumb is, if it's metal on metal, lube. Boop boop. Pretty cheap, $8. Pick this up at my local bike shop. Pretty sweet stuff. I mean, it's just pretty standard all-purpose grease, really. Nothing special. The guy that built my bike pretty much installed the whole thing, or built the whole thing with that grease. So shout out to them, by the way, during this I'm not gonna talk about it because I feel I'm tired of hearing about it. But they're currently doing the whole quarantine thing, so it doesn't matter. My point is, the guys over at Sunshine, they're really cool dudes. I've met the owner. I've met a few mechanics. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool dudes. Yeah. Just like that. What we're not gonna do is crank this down just yet, because once we get this in the bike, I need to make sure that this is either far like in the right spot. So bolt it down, I'm not gonna be able to do whatever I gotta do to make sure it's fitting in the right location. So this is essentially your half of your crank. So now that that's done, we will move on to the bottom bracket. How many people are going to judge me for this? This is your typical 68 to 73 millimeter wide. So that's what they mean when they give you the measurements. That's what they're talking about. This is your bottom bracket shell. So this shell, this bottom bracket, can fit anywhere between 68 millimeters wide all the way up to 73 millimeters wide. So if this varies at all, you can this bottom bracket will work for it. And this takes a specific tool, both sides, but we don't have that tool, so we're gonna use trusty pliers. Here's the basic bottom bracket shell or bottom bracket bearing set. This is the one that came with my Chester cranks. So it's pretty good stuff. There's only different spacers that come with it and things. Just to get this. Those spacers are used to make sure that your wherever your sprocket is. It's to help you adjust your chain line. So like if your sprocket's over here, but your driver out back is like a couple millimeters that way, so your chain is doing this. I mean, that's obviously not that exaggerated, but it's going in that direction. You would just take your bottom bracket back out, move that over, move your spacer back over, and then you have less distance between the mating surface of this metal face and the actual frame itself. So then it moves your bracket over, like your bottom bracket bearing over just that little bit, so that when you put your cranks back on and your chainring back on, like it brings your your chain ring in some to help you straighten up your chain line, which is part of my issue. I've been having my chain lines off, but honestly I can probably deal with that. The biggest problem I had was the ungodly like gear ratio, which is why I'm moving to this. Wow. Alright, anyway, Deity bottom bracket, bearing, one of them. Focus. There we go. So it comes with one of these, is like your spacer goes on your spindle. So when it's inside the frame, like your spindle isn't bouncing around in there going all crazy. They can cause like real bad excessive wear on your bearings. And it comes with different spacers, different widths to go with this. So if you need, you know, like 70 mil, or if you need 73 mil, 68 mil, you know, whichever. And then you can do, I can hear you over there. For anybody, you guys can't see this right now, but my girlfriend is right over there, and she's just being an, I'm not gonna cuss on this video. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing
Loving your dog. Roxy and I are enjoying our glass of wine.
God. We're gonna throw this. Look, man, you get it. This bottom bracket is gonna allow me to put some awesome cranks on my jumbo. We're gonna put it in, see what happens. Installed, put together. I didn't take some length out of the chain, but that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it rides. That's crazy looking though. Like, yeah, 25 teeth on that thing. It looks way small compared to what I had on there. But it's gonna be sick. Adjuster pedals fit up perfectly. Everything fit like it was supposed to. So, bam. Everything's tight. Can't wait to ride this thing. This is gonna be sick. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll link everything that I can in the description so you guys can find all the parts we went over, and do my best to answer any questions you guys may have. In the meantime, stay safe, don't get sick, and have fun as much as possible, because everything is closing. Peace.